Welcome to Namibia's National Council for Higher Education, or NCHE in short. Established by the Higher Education Act, Act number 26 of 2003, and with its headquarters located in the capital city, Windhoek, NCHE is tasked with a daunting challenge to promote and enhance equitable access to quality higher education to the nation.
The National Council for Higher Education was established to address the need for a regulatory body which could promote the establishment of a coordinated higher education system, enhance the access of students to higher education institutions, and ensure quality in higher education.
Higher education institutions are aiming for world-class quality standards. As a result, Namibia's higher education landscape is changing, and new improved mechanisms have been put in place to drive and assure quality in the country's higher education institutions. In line with this, NCHE has various tasks.
The NCHE specific functions include the accreditation of higher education programs, monitoring of quality assurance mechanism, the promotion of students' access to higher education institutions, to undertake research in the fields relevant to higher education, and to advise the Minister of Education on the structure of higher education, the promotion and assurance of quality, the allocation of public funds to, and the governance of public higher education institutions. The NCHE also has the responsibility for the registration of private higher education institutions.
NCHE has the vital role of ensuring credibility, accessibility, and quality of higher education through vigorous implementation of policies.
There must be some regulation of qualifications and programs and institutions in the country so that we have a credible system. That credibility hinges on quality, it hinges on policies, it hinges on the credible data we need to create to be able to manage the system. You cannot manage the system without the right information. And then you also must monitor the execution of policies and so on. So it is a very important function in the economy.
NCHE's logo reflects its goals for the higher education sector. The thatch roof of a hut symbolizes a pyramid, of which the sticks represent the different academic streams that lead to excellence in the country's higher education system. The different academic streams join to provide shelter for the nation. Furthermore, the thatch roof of a hut also symbolizes unity through binding the different academic streams together. This unified effort emphasizes coordination amongst our higher education institutions.
Education, especially higher education, is not a one-man show. We have different institutions of higher education, and it's very, very important that we all sit at the same place. So I see the importance of the NCHE as an institution as being responsible for coordinating all the activities of the different institutions, whether it is universities such as ours or colleges offering tertiary education.
Achieving higher education excellence requires constant assessment of current and new educational products and services. NCHE therefore regularly engages in discussions with all its stakeholders.
Are we talking to each other to ensure that we are not, for example, producing too many graduates in one area and leaving gaps in other areas? So I see the NCHE coming in there to help us, to talk to each other, to provide a platform where we can say, okay, this is what the country needs, these are the shortfalls, these are the skills that are required, how are we going to do that? Each institution playing its specific role, but geared towards one, and that is employment creation. Because at the end of the day, that is what we are here for, to ensure that we are training not for the streets or not just for the sake of training. In fact, I keep saying our programs have to be relevant. We have to be flexible to ensure that we are hearing the industry. What is it that the industry is asking for, and that we can provide that. So I feel that the NCHE's role here is critical in ensuring that we talk to each other as higher education institutions.
NCHE assures the quality of the country's higher education system through two subsystems that all higher education institutions are subject to, namely program accreditation and institutional audits.
The Program Accreditation Subsystem specifically examines higher education academic programs that are registered on the National Qualifications Framework at Level 5 and above. And the criteria guiding program accreditation are generic. Put differently, they are applicable to all types of programs or disciplines. A panel of experts is appointed to verify the self-evaluation report developed by the institution against the NCHE criteria. Program accreditation is passed or failed, and when a program passes accreditation, it then has the status for a period of 6 years, while failing leads to an existing program ceasing to operate and a new program not being offered at all.
NCHE's program accreditation subsystem is complemented by an institutional audit subsystem.
When conducting an institutional audit, we look at an institution's policies, systems, strategies and resources for quality assurance of its academic activities. However, the quality of academic activities per se is not evaluated, but rather the policies, systems, strategies and resources an institution has in place to complement the offering thereof. As with program accreditation, we appoint audit panels comprising experts in higher education issues to conduct evaluations using NCHE's audit requirements as benchmarks. Unlike program accreditation that is passed or failed, institutional audits are improvement-oriented, meaning an institution cannot pass or fail an audit, but the outcomes thereof rather consist of commendations and recommendations. It is crucial to remember that accountability aspects are also integrated into the audit subsystem. Institutions are audited on a 6-year cycle.
Both our program accreditation and institutional audit subsystems require institutions to complete a self-evaluation report. These subsystems are also evidence-based, meaning reports, statements, processes and so forth need to be substantiated by documentary proof or otherwise. As a verification process, the evaluation of the self-evaluation report is supplemented by site visits, also done by the panel of experts.
NCHE's mandate extends to public and private higher education institutions. Another crucial function of NCHE is to register private higher education institutions.
In terms of the registration of private higher education institutions, the Higher Education Act, Act number 26 of 2003, and the regulations for the registration of private higher education institutions of 2009 make it compulsory for private higher education institutions offering higher education programs to register with the Ministry of Education, a task the Permanent Secretary has delegated to the Executive Director of the National Council for Higher Education. Registration means the granting of legal authority to offer higher education programs. Thus, it enables a private higher education institutions to operate within the law. A registered institutions must maintain the registration by continuing to comply with the requirements of the Higher Education Act and the regulations.
Whether public or private, all higher education institutions work towards the good of Namibia's technological, social and economic development.
So as we move forward to 2030, we have to have credible systems in place, and sustainability is important, and that's why when we say we want to provide something of quality, it must be sustained for us to have a good education system in 2030. So because that's the basis of an economy, that's the engine of economic development, is education. The other things will flow in, yes, but you cannot create an economy without the skills, without the knowledge, and that's important. So quality assurance bodies, accrediting bodies like NCHE are critical in maintaining the quality in the system, lending credibility to the system, and ensuring that sustainability is also taken care of, in the sense that we are able to sustain a growth that we have acquired so far, and the gains are not lost in the meantime, that we build better systems to 2030 and beyond.
The role played by the National Council for Higher Education in employment creation and poverty reduction can therefore not be overemphasized.
They look across the spectrum and they can advise the minister as someone who represents the government as to what should be done in terms of providing what I would call relevant education. And relevant means relevant to the industry and relevant to the country. And create a platform where the employers and the educators could meet one another when it comes to attachment, student attachment, and so on, so that the students hailing from these institutions have hands-on experience and they can do the job and they can impress the employers in our country. So in that, I think the employers associations could work hand in hand with the council to articulate their interests, what type of the students they would like to have on the market, and the cabinet then could help to regulate, to put regulations in place that are acceptable both by the industry and also by the higher education institution.
As a body responsive to the needs of the sector, the functions of the National Council for Higher Education will continue to expand as it continuously improves its services. Amongst other functions, NCHE is also the custodian of funding framework, the Higher Education Management Information System, and the Higher Education Tuition Fee Policy. For more information about NCHE, log on to its easy-to-navigate website located at www.nche.org.na. Subscribe and you will also gain access to NCHE publications. The National Council for Higher Education allows Namibia's higher education institutions to offer their students the best higher education possible. Higher education that will influence their future and that of the economy. NCHE, promoting and enhancing your equitable access to quality higher education.